Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Ian Walmsley, the provost here at Imperial, and I am a card-carrying ultrafast scientist, at least historically. Dwayne, please don't laugh. And so it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the launch of this new network of excellence, the frontiers of ultrafast measurement. As internally you may be aware, but our colleagues from elsewhere may not know, the networks are a key stepping stone to building internal communities with external partnerships that will perhaps progress to the point where there is an interdisciplinary center at the college level, which provides both a profile and resources to really drive an area that has cross-faculty impact. So they're a very important part of the research infrastructure at Imperial, helping to form these new collaborations to support, in this case, ultrafast research at the college, bringing together specialized groups, enabling very ambitious projects. I think that's a key thing that I'm keen to see come out of it, and parenthetically grant applications to support those, of course, and sharing ideas and equipment that I think we have a very broad capability of here, so that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this network develops, and I'm delighted both to launch it and open it and to be a member of it. Dynamics and structure are the two big themes in science. Ultrafast sounds like it addresses one of those themes heads on. But in fact, now that we are getting into the regime of short wavelengths and short timescales, it's really, I think, an area which is encompassing both of those. So structural dynamics, I think, is a frontier that this kind of or entity can begin to address. So that ability to measure dynamics on a range of timescales, and indeed to control the systems externally as well, has led to a number of profound new discoveries. Recently, issues around tunneling time and structural reconfiguration mechanisms, as well as a wide range of new applications in sensors and understanding new materials to help drive things like photovoltaics. The UK, of course, has historically had a great strength in this area. Even, I've forgotten the guy's name now. What's Muybridge, thank you. Even Edward Muybridge was a Brit who was transplanted to California. In fact, I think that's a really interesting story. I don't know how many of you know his famous image of the galloping horse. Brilliant technology designed to understand a problem in animal locomotion. For me, it's also a very interesting story that technology led to wealth creation. It didn't lead to wealth creation for him necessarily, but it did for Leyland Stanford, who raised the bet that the horse's hooves would not all simultaneously leave the ground. And Muybridge's technology allowed him to win that bet. So there you go. So let's have something like that too, shall we? And of course, part of the history around Muybridge and Porter and many others has also been reflected in the facilities that we have here in the UK, especially those at the Rutherford Laboratory. It's great to see Emma and her team here today, as well as around the Diamond light source and the time-resolved beamlines on that. And Emma was just telling me the new co-location of that ultrafast facility will be right next door to Diamond. So I think there's some really good synergies that can come out of that. Imperial, too, has not only a very strong track record, but very broad capabilities in this area across various forms of dynamical spectroscopy, both from the foundations end in physics all the way through the applications in materials. So terahertz spectroscopy, picosecond two-dimensional spectroscopy, molecular dynamics modeling, photosynthesis, femtosecond timescale, and the attosecond timescales that are studied in Blackett, along with many, many technologies derived from that, including and playing into that, laser technologies, imaging, and indeed quantum optics as well, of course. So it's a great pleasure to see so many of you, colleagues here from across various parts of the college, and indeed to welcome Dwayne to Imperial. He gets an excuse for laughing. He and I shared a laboratory when I was an assistant professor at the University of Rochester, and he was a professor in chemistry. So it's great to see that circle completed in some way, Dwayne, though we are both much older and have much less hair. Anyway, great. Welcome to you, Dwayne, for this community. So it's great to have this network. It's great to launch it off. It's great to see so much enthusiasm and energy around this area. Good luck, and I'll be right there along with you.
Microphone. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that. Firstly, I am required to tell you that in the event of a fire, then the fire escape is just down there, the stairs on the left. And with that, I am very excited to kick off this exciting meeting, the very first meeting of the new Ultra Network. And as you can see, we have a website. And it's live now for 2 days, and I have to admit it's very bare bones. Not much is on it still, but we have one. And of course, content will go on it. And in fact, you are all very much invited to provide content. It is a place that is a national presence at the Imperial College website, and we control what goes on it. And so you are all very much invited to contribute content for this website as we grow it. Who are we then? We are John, David, and Jasper, and we are your friendly local directors, network directors, here to help. And we are from physics, materials, and life science, and also we have members from medicine, and of course from chemistry. And this shows that this is truly a multidisciplinary activity that I'm sure is going to grow with the key members that have signed up at the moment. I just want to spend a few words to try and explain what we can do for you, or what we think we can do for you. And today is also about talking and discussing any opportunities for the future. Now, you don't have to read the mission statement except then the highlighted bit, which is we are interested in primary processes in matter. And that immediately identifies chemical materials in questions, biological materials, but also material sciences. And so we are typically a community of people who use ultrafast lasers, XFVLs, and other accelerators and theory, but we are more inclusive. We are also considering more complex materials and biological materials, and for instance also examples of radiation physics and medical physics that have this common interest of fundamental processes in matter. So that's the one highlight. This is the mission statement as it's on the document. Again, don't read all of this, but for our objectives, ideas that have been kicking around are, for example, the creation of user groups that we can do in a ad hoc basis, and that's based on examples that have happened before. For instance, life science have had user groups with physics to tackle the problem of femtosecond timing in X-ray free electron lasers. But mostly, as we are just starting up with very few resources right now, what we do is we enable events and meetings. And this could also include training, as I've pointed out there. But basically what we can do today is to promote collaborative activities, and that hopefully is going to lead to funding, and I think this is very necessary at the moment. And promoting collaborative activities also means identifying that there are people working in very related fields that we haven't discovered yet, but there are neighbors, and I can certainly give you examples of my findings when we were setting up this network. We want to put these funding activities and opportunities also forward for the round table that we do at the end of the meeting. But right now we are primarily about supporting events. With the Network Award, we have some money to support events. Today is supported by this award. And also the first application and award has been made for a new next Ultrafast activity, and that is Artem and John. And so therefore we encourage you, if you are organizing events, meetings, speak to your friendly local director. And that's what we are here for in the beginning. We are ambitious. We are thinking about the possibility of enabling shared equipment and facilities for structured dynamics. Ideas have been kicking around. Sharing facilities is already, of course, possible. And certainly what I identify as a major goal, something we would like in order to become a center, is to get a multi-faculty doctoral training program. And imagine there are PhD students who have access to all faculties for ultrafast science. Now that would be truly multidisciplinary graduate training in ultrafast. And that's one of the goals, and with that one could become a center with funding. Basically, if we look at the college documentation, there's the definition of what's a center and what's a network on the left, but the key thing is network needs no funding. And the center needs $500,000 per annum. So that's what we are here to eye up. And we are not alone in this. With this we have also college support. And this is a slide given by Sarah. Sarah, can you raise your hand? There she is. So Sarah will hopefully also join the round table, and where we will invite you to make contributions and ask questions, and Sarah can help there. And in this slide she shows that what she can do is individual network support, network community support, institutional support to Imperial, and basically representation at all different levels. And so let me just cut this short and go to what you've come here for today. We have a very exciting day of speakers, both internal speakers and external speakers, on the very topics that we are so interested in. Just as a practical point, there are 4 sessions, and you've seen that the tea and coffee is on level 2. Because of competing events, there is for the 11:30 break only some refreshments provided by my group, because they're all going to chemistry to serve them, so we couldn't get catering. For lunch, all speakers are invited to join us for lunch. We go to the SCR, and then at the end of the 4th session, we will finish with a roundtable discussion, and we will try to get your input and ideas for next events. And this series of very exciting talks is something we want to repeat, and we are now looking at doing this annually with a fantastic external speaker as we have today. And so it is a scoop for us, and I will just proceed to now invite our keynote seminar speaker, Dwayne Miller from Max Planck of Structured Dynamics, who will talk about mapping atomic motions with ultra-bright electrons, fundamental space-time limits to imaging chemistry and biology. Dwayne.